Vacation season is nearly upon us. I know I'm going away soon, and I'm going to be treating myself to the luxe upgrades that I deserve with Quince's high-quality travel essentials and at fair prices. Like lightweight European linen styles from $30, washable silk tops and comfy lounge sets, with premium luggage options and stylish tote bags to carry it all. And the best part, all Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. Because by partnering directly with top factories, Quince cuts the cost of the middleman and then passes the savings on to us. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes. And I love that. My favorite right now, get the organic gauze shirt. My favorite is the Bayside stripe. Get it in that one. You're going to love it. For your next trip, treat yourself to the luxe upgrades that you deserve from Quince. Go to quince.com/KKC for 365-day returns plus free shipping on your order. That's QUINCE.com/KKC to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/KKC. Looking for a new beautiful, durable, and sustainably made rug at an accessible price? You've got to check out Revival Rugs. I just swapped out my son's rug. I got an 8x10 in sweatshirt. It is so soft on your feet. And if you're a parent like me, you're going to want to check out their popular line of washable rugs because they have the same high quality look and feel as a traditional rug. If your kids or your pets get your rug dirty, you can just pop it in the washing machine and it comes out fresh and clean. And I love that. Plus, they're a sustainable company. They use eco-friendly materials, including wool, cotton, recycled denim, and recycled polyester. It's a brand you can feel good about, and they've got affordable prices so your wallet can feel good too. Visit revivalrugs.com/realitylife and use the code KateCasey20 for 20% off your first order. That's revivalrugs.com/realitylife, code KateCasey20. One more time, revivalrugs.com/realitylife with code KateCasey20 to save 20% off your order.
The amazing Kate Casey.
Welcome back for another episode of Reality Life with Kate Casey. Today's episode is about The Carters, Hurts to Love Us, which is a 2-part Paramount Plus docuseries. Jane and Bob Carter married in May 1979 and welcomed 5 children together during their relationship: Nick, Leslie, Bobby Jean, and twins Aaron and Angel. They spent the early years of their marriage living in New York, where they owned a bar called the Yankee Rebel in Westfield, before eventually moving to Florida, where their children primarily grew up. At the age of 12, Nick Carter quickly became an international pop superstar as the youngest member of the iconic boy band Backstreet Boys. His brother Aaron was a singer, songwriter, and actor. He started his music career at age 7 and opened for the Backstreet Boys in 1997 at age 9 and released his first solo album, Aaron Carter, in 1997 in Europe and 1998 in the United States. His hits included Aaron's Party, That's How I Beat Shaq, and a cover of I Want Candy. Jane and Bob had a tempestuous relationship and divorced in 2004. Around that same time, Aaron accused his mother, who was also his manager at the time, of stealing $100,000 from him. He considered filing for legal emancipation. She denied the charge and they settled the dispute a month later. Jane made headlines later that year when she was arrested and charged with battery for allegedly hitting Bob's girlfriend and future wife, Ginger. Ginger did not pursue charges but filed a restraining order. As reported by People, as the boy band rose to fame, Nick reportedly dealt with a turbulent home life. In his 2013 memoir, Facing the Music and Living to Talk About It, Nick claimed that his relationship with his family was toxic. During an interview with Dr. Phil, he expanded on his rocky home life, noting that things with his family members were always up and down throughout his childhood. He specifically noted that his success in the music industry made him the financial provider for his family. He became like a father in a lot of ways. I love my family, he said, but there comes a point when you really have to ask yourself if you're helping or hurting them. In addition to having a strained relationship with his parents, Nick had also a difficult relationship with his younger brother, Aaron, who, of course, made appearances with the Backstreet Boys as he was starting out his music career. And they continued to fight publicly and privately. Aaron died on November 5th, 2022, at the age of 34, when he was found unresponsive in the bath. Leslie died in 2012 at the age of 25, and Bobby Jean, also known as BJ, passed away in 2023 at the age of 41. All those 3 deaths were the result of accidental drug overdoses. Bob Carter, their father, died in May of 2017 at the age of 65 from a heart attack. The Carters unravels a deeply disturbing path as told by Angel Conrad, Nick and Aaron's sister, Aaron Carter's twin sister, along with first-time interviews with friends including Melissa Joan Hart and Scout Willis. There's never before seen home videos that detail the brothers' rise to fame and the devastating toll that it took on their family as they also helped tell the Carter story. In this documentary, Angel shares how her parents struggled with alcoholism, mental health issues, and how her father cheated on her mom frequently. Nick Carter also says at one point in the documentary that fame and money changed his parents. This is directed by Soleil Moonfry. She was inspired by Angel's courage and resilience despite her generational trauma and family losses. And the documentary uses archival footage and personal interviews to explore mental health, addiction, and life after the death of so many family members. It also includes an intimate and emotional conversation between Nick and Angel. In this episode, I've asked Eric Arntzen to discuss the Carters with me, and we also touch a bit on the third part of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills reunion. Here is my interview with Eric. Eric, welcome back.
Kate Casey, I'm so happy to be home.
Well, did you watch the reunion for Beverly Hills last night?
I sure did.
What did you think of the third part of the reunion, the last part? I felt like it had a different feel to it.
I mean, I guess when you're on the show for that long, things start to kind of fizzle out. And I don't think everybody's trying to drum up like there's some drama with Garcelle, and maybe there is, but I just think she's over it. I think that she has been pushing stories so much, and these women just keep dodging away from them or swatting it away. And it's like, you just give. So she gives every episode, and sometimes she's a little annoying with it, but I wasn't even shocked. Like, even before it came out, I was like, yeah, I'd be like, whatever, I'm done with this. I think a lot of the cast now that there are so many of these shows out there, they produce themselves, but then sometimes they just forget that they have mics on too. So you get a lot of these random, funny hot mic moments, but then you also get people who kind of understand in the moment that they're not going to get what they want. And then it's really nice now to break the fourth wall. Like, I'm happy to see, like, our dear friend Christopher DeRosa, I'm really happy to see a producer in there just so that we can understand what happens when they walk off and who's telling them what, or who's trying to get them through this moment and try to get them to come back. I think that was something that they tried to hide a lot of the time earlier on. So it's nice to see that now. And it's interesting to see how these women deal with this team that you don't see all the time and how they treat them. And it's usually pretty respectful, but then sometimes it's just like, get away from me, which I can relate to that as well. It's like you have somebody up your ass and on you at all times, and you just need a minute to recoup. So seeing stuff like that as a viewer is very interesting. And I feel like we're seeing a lot more of that now.
I think the problem that most people probably had watching those scenes with Garcelle is like you said, she's on the edge of saying something, but never fully goes there. And in some ways it's great because her silence can say so much, but in other ways we're led to something and we're almost there. And then I worry that no one will be holding anybody accountable because they all kind of just make agreements off camera. And then we never really get to the meat on the bone.
I don't know, Kate. We got some meaty stuff from her, pretty much calling Kyle Richards a lesbian on many different occasions. And she's just frustrated because nobody wants to talk about it. At least if Kyle just kind of takes a step back and just says, which she tried to do. She tried to say, oh, Morgan doesn't like to be in whatever. And then I don't know who said it offhand, but someone said, well, Morgan's a performer. So why? But I get it's a different type of performance. So I just think, I think she's run her course with this cast. So maybe if they recast it eventually she'll probably come back. It even sounds like Andy wants her to come back too. So it's not like a fired moment. It seems like she has other things that are going on. She's like a producer of 10 million different things. Now her son is a model, so she's probably has her hand in that too. So she's busy, so she probably doesn't even have time for this anymore.
I don't think she's even spoken to Sutton thus far after the reunion.
Yeah, because Sutton threw her away. It was so evident. It was really sad, honestly, because Garcelle said it the best. She's been a ride or die for Sutton when everybody else is annoyed with Sutton, when I'm annoyed with Sutton, when Sutton's dogs are annoyed with Sutton. Everybody else just kind of shoos her away and leaves her as a constant, versus Garcelle really wants to have a friendship and a relationship with her. And it doesn't seem like Sutton does in the same level, which is unfortunate to see. So that's another reason too. It's like, I'm done.
Two of the things I noticed when Andy asked what was the surprise of the season, and she made a comment about Sutton and her mother, and then Sutton said something that had absolutely nothing to do with Garcelle. And then after the reunion stopped airing and they have those cameras that follow them, everyone keeps asking Sutton, what's wrong with Garcelle? And it's like she's talking about someone she's never met before. She's like, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe Sutton also saw the writing on the wall, and she saw that people weren't engaging with Garcelle as much. So maybe she also said,
she's
okay,
like, dead
well,
weight.
I'm not going to get any story from her. So let me move on to the main cast. Isn't that awful?
Awful.
But isn't it something that we expect? Yeah. It's like, isn't it of the time? But I guess that's that kind of world. I'm curious to see what happens with Erika. That whole story and that her whole arc is just so interesting to me, because it just doesn't stop. Like and who knows what's going to happen, but she's just in the thick of it. And you think that she's out of it, and you think she's out of the woods, and then something else comes back. So it's interesting. I would say, out of all of the different storylines going on, I'm sorry, Dorit, like, we've been there, done that with a husband who's an alcoholic or like is an absent father and whatever. Erika's story is very interesting, and I'm very intrigued to see what happens next.
But Erika doesn't talk about anything.
I know,
has all these
but that's what
she doesn't talk
that's
about
what
anything.
That's what makes me go to my phone and start clicking through and start watching stuff and start looking at news clips. And
I know, but
that's what
not
makes
fun unless they acknowledge it. This gets really boring.
You know what it is? It's the gay gene. She has a hold on gay men, and the silence says so many other things. So I think that's probably the other part of me that's really chomping at the bit when it comes to her story.
One thing I have to say, it does seem like maybe there are too many men that produce the show at times, because there are a lot of conversations that I think would be most interesting that lack, because I think that when you have a female producer, they know how to ask questions and how to probe about things that I think are really interesting about parenting, motherhood, menopause, elderly parents. Like, I think unless they get more women behind the scenes, I think we're going to have a lack of some of those more interesting stories that really capture the majority of the audience, which really is women.
Yeah, so we're getting a lot of surface level things versus like really cutting to the core. And I think that they try to do that when they get the women together in these offshoot moments, when somebody storms off and then somebody else chases after them. So maybe they try to feed that in with the cast, but I would agree with that. I think that's something that Atlanta does really well, because
I think they do well.
I hear a female producer I would assume, in the interview with those cast members, and they're asking them pretty hard-hitting stuff. That's really
even the last episode when they were at Shamia's house.
I know.
And they're talking about marriages.
I feel
and
so bad
infidelity.
for her. Oh my God. I could not believe, even though there are some funny memes that came out of that, but that's not to like make fun of anybody. It was like Sheree saying, I don't know if we're going to get pistols or pornography.
Right.
But, and it says to Chris, we died. But just like the fact that you would do that, it's one thing to say that you're going to do that, but to actually do it at your own event and they made all the great points, like this was a salon that's supposed to be like making women feel good about themselves,
women feel better,
and empowering women. And this is a business that you open to set an example for your daughter, and that's what you do. So who knows how legitimate that business is.
Too an example of maybe she's been having producers in her head for too long who told her people like the campy fighting or all of that, but the truth is they don't. Like after a while, it gets nauseating, and I think we all collectively cringed when it looked exactly like what it was. Another woman joyfully humiliated another.
Yeah. Which the women who signed releases that stayed and were taking pictures and were laughing, to quote Wendy Williams, to all of them.
I know. I thought that too.
Like, I would hope that certain levels of employment are investigated.
Yes.
because you like actively taking pictures and laughing at something like that, it's not okay. I just felt so bad for her. So I'm really liking this season of Atlanta as well. I told Chris all the time. Me too. I think it's a real shakeup.
One question I have for you about the Beverly Hills reunion. I was sort of annoyed that in the clips for the third part of the reunion, there's something that Kyle says about alluding to being in an intimate relationship with another woman. And then her sister says something, and then Andy says, oh, so you alluding to like Kathy pretended to be a lesbian for her daughters. But then when you watched it play back, it was nothing of the sort.
Oh, yeah. They love to do a misdirect in a like bumper before a commercial and then like switch it up and it's something.
That was the actual clip that they played for like more than a week.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because they do that. I feel like they do that on everything. They do that on Drag Race all the time. That's another one where somebody is like, your outfit was terrible. And then they zoom in on somebody you think it's going to be them. And then it's about like Michelle Visage, who's like who's like a judge. Like, so
that's an emotional issue. I can't imagine that Kathy and Kyle felt good about that.
Ooh, that's a good point. Yeah. Because they probably would not have cleared something like that, especially Kathy Hilton. You don't want to mess with her. We tried seasons ago and she was like, I will go into NBC and just buy it. And I will burn this place to the ground. Wait, she didn't say that, but you don't want to mess with Kathy Hilton.
I'm off to Hawaii soon and I've been looking for great dresses, suits, bags, and sandals for my trip. You know who else needs stuff? My almost 16-year-old daughter. Now, where can I find all of those things in one place? Revolve. And I know that you love Revolve too. Over 1,200 brands and 100,000 styles from across high-end, emerging, and exclusive labels in fashion, beauty, and home goods. Consistently offering the latest and most sought-after trends in fashion from top brands like Lovers and Friends, Love Shack Fancy, Misa, and Zimmermann. I just ordered a pink Japanese dress, a gold clutch, gold sandals, and a monogram necklace, and I might even wear it to my niece's graduation too. Authentic, high-quality products, new arrivals daily, inclusive sizing. From last-minute getaways to party dressing and seasonal upgrades, Revolve has you covered with fast 2-day shipping and easy returns, all on them. And for a limited time, you can shop a curated selection of my favorite styles at revolve.com/Kate Casey and receive 15% off your first order with code Kate Casey. That's revolve.com/Kate Casey to shop my top picks and get 15% off your first order with code Kate Casey. The offer is only valid for a limited time, so do not miss out. If you were to look in my tote bag, you would find my essentials, sunblock for my fair skin, about 14 lipsticks, hair elastics, my phone, and Liquid IV. My goal this year has been to keep up my hydration, and Liquid IV is a must-have hydration made easy. True to fruit flavors that keep you hydrated, and you can find all your favorite hydration multiplier flavors on their website, from lemon lime to pina colada, or you can choose from their line of sugar-free flavors like raspberry lemonade, white peach, and rainbow sherbet. 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, 8 essential vitamins and nutrients, and they're always non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free. So you too can break the mold and own your own ritual. Just 1 stick and 16 ounce of water hydrates better than water alone. So ready up for a long day with extraordinary hydration from Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use the code KateCasey at checkout. That's 20% off your first order with the code KateCasey at liquidiv.com. All right, well, we pivoted big time because we both watched the reunion, and then we watched something that was pretty heavy. And
so heavy.
Tell everybody about it. I thought I found myself crying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Same.
So The Carters Hurts to Love You is a 2-part documentary told from Aaron Carter's twin sister, Angel Carter Conrad's perspective. She shines a light on their family's upbringing, from older brother, Backstreet Boy member Nick Carter's rise to fame, Aaron Carter's success, his death, as well as the death of their father and their 2 other siblings. So 5 kids in this family, and 3
had
of
no
them...
idea, by the way.
Oh, you
had
didn't?
no idea.
Oh.
The House of Carter show, too. There were so many things. I was like, I forgot about this. This. Had no idea, all these different siblings.
3 of them have since just died. The father has died as well. So the mother, who goes by a different last name now, she's still living. Nick is still living. He's the oldest child. And then Angel. Angel and Aaron were twins. And when they start to peel back the layer of this documentary, all you can think is just complete heartbreak. I should note that the executive producer, I believe the director as well, is Soleil Moon Frye, who played Punky Brewster, which a lot of people are probably familiar with that show. I think it aired, I would say, like late 80s, maybe mid to late 80s. And I think it's interesting that she made it because the lens through which she looks obviously is different than most directors because she was also a child star. What happened to these 2 adults that when they got married and they started to have children, any sense of normalcy collapsed easily?
It seems like they were always like that. Angel mentioned that both of the parents were definitely alcoholics. She even mentioned they were doing drugs too.
Yeah.
So even without the fame and the money and all of that came later, that just exacerbated the problem and made it on this global scale where everyone was watching them. They still would have been a backwoods, unfortunate family where the parents are negligent and they're looking to make a quick buck, unfortunately, and looking to chase the next thing or go to the next place, and they're sporadic and they improvise. They don't plan anything. And I think these kids, unfortunately, the moral of the story was to get help. And that's why Nick and Angel survived this, because they got help and because they had a support system. And that's why everybody else got messed up, because they either acknowledged the problem and didn't do anything about it, or they said, I don't have a problem. But ultimately, that was the downfall.
So Jane and Bob Carter met while she was hitchhiking on the side of the road after her car broke down, according to Angel. A true
romance.
A true horrible romance. According to Angel, he pulled over to help her and she knew who he was. He was Bobby Carter, and all the women knew who he was when she met Bob, because he had such a Lothario reputation. And for whatever reason, even it seems to this day, Jane is totally in love with Bob. He was a garbage father, a garbage husband. And even after they divorced and he remarried, she would just show up at the house and almost stalk him. So they've got this tempestuous relationship. It's exacerbated by drugs and alcohol. And they had 3 children, mistake pregnancy, as Angel explained. And then she's pregnant with twins. They're financially strapped. He seems like a complete loser dad, he can't hold down a job. So when their oldest son, Nick, starts to show some interest and some talent in singing, they do what all the horrible parents of the 90s did. They ensure that he tries out for a band, and that band would end up becoming Backstreet Boys. And what you had said just now about Nick was okay because he got away. You're like, but he didn't get away because he was just fed into a whole other horrible machine. I have to say first that Years ago, and I recommend this documentary, it's called Backstreet Boys, Show 'Em What You're Made Of. I think it came out in 2015. And in the documentary, each band member went back to their hometown and you got to see them kind of giving you a tour of where they're from. But it was momentous for me because Nick Carter went back to Florida to his school, and there was a teacher there that knew him. When I tell you he broke down,
Aww.
and he is walking kind of in circles and crying, like really wailing, and the unsaid words between himself and this teacher were heartbreaking because in that moment, the abuse that he was facing as a young boy.
Yeah.
And that was even before he left the house. And Angel alludes to adults, once Aaron and certainly Nick became famous, that were in their orbit, unchecked adults who clearly were abusing these kids. You kind of get a sense that this probably started very early into all of their lives. I don't know if maybe even the own father had been abusing them, but I just kept wondering what hope did any of them have from the very beginning?
That's what I'm saying. Like the fame and the money didn't help much, in terms of psychosis. But I think this is just another textbook example of a couple who are quote unquote in love, but they're just kind of in a drunk haze, and they have a bunch of kids that they don't know what to do with, because that's what everybody tells people when they're young is, like fall in love and have kids and whatever, and you'll figure it out. And it's like, not everybody should probably be having kids.
Oh, I know,
not
right?
not everybody is equipped to be doing that. And just from the footage alone, and like you have parents in these old home movies, they didn't really like hold themselves to a certain standard. So you might see like a kid getting like tugged by his parent, if he does something wrong or whatever, but they smacked them. They told BJ, when they showed that footage of her before she went to bed, they were trying to catch her if she lied or not, and the mom said, if you lied, you're going to die in your sleep. Like, what? Like, who says that to a kid? So they just did not know what they were doing, and
selfishly were caught up in their own needs, and that they completely ignored their children. By the way, the kids never had clothes on. It was like every home movie.
Well, it was Florida. It was probably hot, but still.
Like it's like either naked or just in a diaper.
Yeah.
And they seem like weirdos that like won't take care of their kids, but like to film every moment of their lives. You get a sense that they believe themselves to be celebrities before they even had their own children.
Yeah. And there was even something really random that I was like, oh, they don't even take care of that house. And they mentioned that too with the house that they had in California, how it was like really pretty from the outside, and you go in, it's really super weird. So there was one old footage where they were like, one of the kids was coming out of a bedroom and the carpet was not flush to the wall.
Oh,
like they
God.
opened the door and like the part where the carpet is cut to like came out. So the door didn't even close all the way, where so even just little things like that, where a dad or a mom, they'll notice that and they'll say, okay, we have to cut that because someone's going to trip over it.
Right.
So it just seemed like the house was also in disarray, and they just didn't really care that much until it got to taking care of the sons who were making all their money.
Yeah, like it's a house where there's probably like nails sticking out of the carpet, but they don't even do anything about it, right?
Yeah.
Well, so Nick starts to get some success for Backstreet Boys. He's just sort of sent off. Now we know the story about Lou Pearlman and what they were all subjected to. No one really goes fully there and admits that Lou Pearlman was sexually abusing the boys, but allude enough to it.
He looked like a Disney villain in that doorway. I clocked that right away. I was like, he looks disgusting. So the fact that they let him in their house, let alone managing them, is insane.
Well, also, you can only imagine Bob Carter is so probably thrilled to be making an extra 3 cents. He basically just gave his son, Nick, to this predator, and they were not paid at all in the very beginning as bandmates. So I can imagine Bob's getting more and more frustrated. He's basically passed his son off to Lou Pearlman and is probably calling him all the time. When is my son going to get paid? Because they are solely looking at these children as vehicles to make them money. Cash cows. Mm-hmm. So in the meantime, there's the sweet little boy, the twin, Aaron, and he notices probably that the only way to get his parents' attention is to also become some sort of singing star. Mm. Had they never been in Florida, had they never been, a family that was caught up in the illusion of fame, he probably would have been like some little soccer star or somebody who was like wanted to be president of their class, just like a real hammy kid. And the entire time they go back to archival footage of him singing, you just kept wondering, is this really what he wanted even from the beginning?
It sounds like from Angel's perspective, who, shout out to Angel, honestly, the perfect person to tell this story.
Wonderful.
The perfect person. And I loved how she described herself as an observer. I feel like every family has an observer. Mm-hmm. That was my sister, Allison. Allison, she wasn't shy or anything, but she was always watching and she was always tucked in the corner while everybody was talking in the dining room and speaking really softly, like with some kind of drama. Yeah. So, and of course, she's a huge like reality TV aficionado and like Investigation Discovery, like watches everything now. So that's her thing. So she was that in our family too. Every family has that. Mm-hmm. So to get her perspective, it was really interesting to watch, and you really felt how connected she was because she really just saw everything that went down and nobody paid attention to her. So she really had this unbiased opinion, like perspective that we were really like in the house and on the tour bus with them. But I do think even though everything that happened to Aaron and to Nick, I do think that Aaron did, like, there was a part that he did really want to do that, not just for his parents' approval, but also because he did enjoy it.
Yeah, but they kept saying, like around 11 years old, he wanted to go home.
Yeah. And that's because the parents pushed him too hard. And I think that you can do a little bit of balance, but to the parents' point, they wanted to keep making money. So you can't go on vacation. You can't take a break. You have to keep going. You have to be in this and be in that. And they said yes to everything. They didn't say no. And that's what burnt him out. If they really stuck to a schedule and worked with someone that had Aaron's best interest at heart, he could have been decently okay. And it's also like the money. The money is the problem. And I'll get to that secondarily too. Like, we should not have parents being managers of these kids. Like, it should just they should not be financially involved in the way that they can be, or the way that they used to be. I think that there might be more protections on that. But Angel did hint to a note that she watching Aaron, she did see him light up on stage. So I think there was a part of him, and Nick probably had it too, and still has it, where he did like to perform and he did like the energy and all of that. But the parents pushed him too hard, and the parents made him do all this stuff, and they didn't let him be a kid. And you need to have that balance if you're going to make it work. And they dried him up. They wrung him out like a wet towel.
It's home project season, and Wayfair is the best kept secret for all things renovation. Whether you're making a little update like a new kitchen cabinet hardware or doing a full renovation, Wayfair has stylish and quality home improvement products for every budget. We live near the beach, so we love coastal decor. Our home is bright and white with blue and neutral tones. And we just recently changed the decor in some of the kids' rooms, and we just found great night tables for Sutton and Caroline's rooms. We loved all of the options available. The Wayfair website is so easy to use, and I could not believe the great prices. There's something for every style and every home, no matter your space or budget. Wayfair makes it easy to tackle your spring home goals with endless inspiration for every space and budget, whether you need a light refresh or an organizational overhaul. Free and easy delivery, even on the big stuff. They even help you set it up. Find all of your home improvement must-haves, from flooring to light fixtures to faucets to hardware, all in one convenient place. Shop the best selection of home improvement online. Get renovating with Wayfair. Head to wayfair.com right now. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair. Every style, every home.
No matter how you travel, it's good to have a plan. Some people plan every minute. No sleep, bus, museum, another museum. While others only plan to take it day by day. When it comes to your finances, a plan is just as important. You can count on Credit Karma to give you the insights you need to understand your options so you can take charge of your financial path and find your way to money. Explore how you can make financial progress with confidence today. Intuit Credit Karma. Karma you can count on.
You get a sense too, because Nick is in two scenes where he's having these thoughtful conversations with his younger sister, which you get the sense they barely speak. And maybe that's because of their own busy lives. But there's also a layer of, I think, if I see you, I'm confronted by what I had as a child, which is too much for me to emotionally bear. But I think about how Nick must have always felt less like the oldest of a family, but more of a parental figure. And the stresses that came with that. I mean, the way that Aaron just falls apart in all this archival footage every time his brother's around, and kind of felt like, oh, there are all of these adults that are abusing this boy psychologically, physically, sexually. And he's just wanting his brother to come and rescue him. And Nick is trying to navigate probably through his own circumstances. And then he sees his young brother and he knows there's only so much that he can do.
Yeah, and he probably felt guilty because he was so conflicted and he was so attached to the brand that was the Backstreet Boys. He couldn't save him. And as an older sibling, I know my oldest sister was like a mother to me, even though like my mom is great, but my mom worked a lot. So my sister would pick me up from school or drive me to my friend's house or like watch me while my parents were away. And when you have an older sibling like that, you really grow that attachment and that's a constant in your life. And Aaron didn't have that. And it was like every time that they would get together, especially in House of Carter, that was just, I forgot that show even aired. And then I got a whole flashback on that. That was a mess. And that was Nick trying to do a good thing. That he was trying to get okay, let's make some money, we can try to get a fresh start. We can try to, and they just weren't equipped to do that, unfortunately. It was really sad.
And also to your point about like them being managers, I mean, I would love to know if Bob Carter even had his GED. I highly doubt it. And these two fools are in charge of their careers. If you think about like Aaron Carter performing at one of those stadiums, how much each ticket costs, all the people that needed to be paid, and they're just pocketing all the money.
And was there some kind of conference that all these fathers went to? Because it's like around the same time. Yeah. It's Carter, it's Spears, it's Simpson. There's just so many. And I actually really like the comparison to the Jacksons as well. I thought that was a really interesting take because I got to tell you, I don't know what the protections with kids are now as they were before, but it seems like there were just none. There were no protections before. None. So parents could just do whatever they want. Now, if you're going to manage your kid or if you're going to be involved in your kid's career, you can take whatever percentage you need to so that you can buy things for your kid and like support your family, but you cannot dip into the larger percentage of the money that they make. The whole process should be, there should be some kind of financial advisor that's in there as well. The parent should only have like a supervising role. They should not be like saying yes, no to a million different things and just like saying yes and having no repercussions. And they should not be able to touch that money. That's the kid's money. That's not your money. It's just crazy that like no one thought, and Angel makes that point as well. it's, it's my kid, it's my money. And that's not okay. Like, you didn't work. The kid's up there doing everything. You're not doing anything.
Well, yeah, but you even look at the archival footage and that Bob is just like sitting in the backyard, just smoking cigarettes and like smoke rings. He was probably the biggest loser in his high school.
Oh, yeah. But probably very handsome, apparently, but probably like did nothing, and like all the girls were like, oh, I'll just take my clothes off. But I loved when you mentioned that Aaron wanted to go home, which of course, like what kid when they're working like 18-hour days, like doesn't want to go home for a little bit. But I love that the response from the parents would be, well, if you do this job, I'll get you a boat or I'll get you a diamond necklace. What kid wants a boat
diamond necklace
and a diamond necklace?
Boat?
It sounds like the boat was for the dad and the diamond necklace was for the mom. It's sick. That mom, honestly, I got the feeling that the dad was just like a deadbeat, whatever. That mom was evil. She and still is just evil, just an evil person because she was pitting those kids against each other. Versus, I think the dad was just kind of like a taker and needed money, asked for money, tried to get money.
But the one time when Angel says, I was on a tour bus, left alone with this man, and all my dad said was, just lock the door.
Just lock the door.
So he's equally garbage.
Well, yeah, he's like a negligent whatever. But I think that he probably was just like, well, I need the money, so whatever. So that's just another kind of like disgusting. But the mom was like conniving and was setting these kids up, telling Aaron, like you're more talented than Nick, and then whispering over to this other person. So she was really trying to like push the gear and like play with them, which is really foul.
So in the end, I feel like Angel somehow she's just born with a survivor chip. The fact that she married this wonderful man who has a wonderful family. I'm so happy for her and really marvel at how strong she is despite the circumstances of this really terrible family dynamic. And now I have to mention that there is litigation looming. There are lawsuits that Nick is facing. And, I don't think that they sort of focused on that because this was really the perspective of Angel and her strength. But if you look in broad scope, you have to acknowledge that Nick, there is something going on the side. He's married and he has a family and he's still performing. But you have to wonder about the spiderweb effect of all of the abuse that these children were succumbed to.
I just feel for Angel so much. And if something's going on with Nick, I like to be the surviving sibling, and to be the one who's like the most grounded because you got help. That's the moral of this story. And that's what it all boils down to is if you feel like you're going to kill someone or do some harm to yourself, you need to talk to somebody. You can't deal with it on your own. You just can't. That's what it all boils down to. I was the last song of the whole thing was what, like, I cried at that too, but I was in tears too when Angel was pleading with Aaron. It reminded me, my mom was really like the anchor for her family. Like her parents weren't around and were like doing this and doing that. And she took that mom role and she was like the second oldest. So the other one was doing this, that, and whatever. And it was the same thing. Like my uncles passed away from like alcohol, drug use, and just like over and over and over again. And it just got so bad. My mom's like telling them, like, you are going to die. You need to get help. Yeah. And you can try all you want, but if they don't want to get that help, there's only so much that you can do. And I really felt that pain from Angel, especially when you have a twin, somebody who's a constant in your whole life and is a part of you, and they are not here anymore. I felt for her so much. I really felt for her in that moment.
So we're recommending you watch it. You got to get some tissues out because it's pretty heavy, but it's called The Carters Hurt So Much. You can watch it on Paramount Plus. It's 2 episodes. Last question. Below Deck. You're always into that show.
Always into it. It's one of those shows that reminds me of being a production assistant.
Yeah.
So I'm loving watching them climb the stairs and scrub this and do that. And sometimes the guests are pretty awful and there's the drama, whatever. But I just like that they're actually doing a job. This is a really difficult job to do, and it's always interesting to watch. And there's usually a new cast, so it's always rotating out of season.
Yeah,
there's
keeps it fresh.
The big thing right now, they just changed the cast up. So sorry, spoilers for anybody, but the bosun was not doing his job and was really lazy and doing whatever. And then another guy, a Greek guy who's very nice, he just got drunk and just started hitting stuff, started hitting walls and doors and stuff. And I think Captain Jason does the Down Under one. And he just pulled no punches. He just said, you need to leave to both of them. So now we have a new bosun. We're in mid-season right now. So we have a new bosun, we have a new deckhand. And now we have some fresh meats. We have two more men that are on the boat. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what relationships ensue.
Well, thank you for joining me this morning, and tell everybody where they can find you.
My Instagram and other socials are Eric with a K today. For those who want to spell my name with a C, I will see you outside. No, just kidding.
Thank you, Eric.
Thanks.
The amazing Kate Casey.
I want to thank my great guest, Eric, and remind you to click subscribe. Please leave a 5-star review. Go ahead and join the Facebook group, Reality Life with Kate Casey. You're really going to love it. And then also check out my What to Watch list at katecasey.substack.com. You're going to get a list of what to watch each week in unscripted TV. You can get bonus episodes by going to Patreon, patreon.com/Kate Casey, and follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram at KatecaseyCA, TikTok, it's Kate Casey, and Twitter, Threads, and Blue Sky at Kate Casey. Check back tomorrow for an all-new episode.
Okay, let's be real. Have you ever had a moment where you just said, screw it, or someone, and did something totally wild? Now imagine you just got a life-changing diagnosis, and instead of playing it safe, you throw caution to the wind and dive headfirst into a world of one-night stands, forbidden affairs, and wild adventures. Well, that's exactly what Molly and I did in Dying for Sex, Wondery's award-winning podcast that's now streaming on a TV near you, starring Michelle Williams and Jenny Slate. And to top it off, we are dropping brand new episodes where I, Nikki Boyer, co-host of the series, sit down with the cast to spill all the juicy secrets. We're talking steamy stories, deep friendships, and the kind of bold choices that make life worth living. Listen to the original Dying for Sex and brand new episodes on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge the original series before anyone else and completely ad-free on Wondery Plus.